Pryndiuk with the topic FinTech Challenge for Banks. Alex, please welcome.
Can I use this? Okay. Oh, it works. So, hello everyone. I'm Alex, and it's a real pleasure for me to stand and talk in front of you today. So, the future of finance is a fairly wide thing with many different angles to explore, and frankly, in the beginning, it was hard to figure out what I want to talk about. And I just wanted to get a bit of inspiration, perhaps as everyone does who sits here today. And what is the best way to do this? For me, it's talk to people. So I started talking to people about the future of finance. And I talked to my friends around the world. I talked to my family, to my manager, to my colleagues in Ukraine, London, New York. I also talked to strangers in planes. And I also had a chance to talk to a professor from Chicago Booth Business Schools and student there. And you know what? I was so excited to hear so many interesting ideas about topics like cashless economy, trends in wealth and asset management, technology advancements, blockchain, etc. And I also remember how my mom was defending cashless economy, saying it's going to make the life of bad guys who do bad things like terrorism financing or drug selling much harder. Yes, we know these things, but I was amazed to hear it was the first thing that came up to my mom's mind. So, a lot of interesting ideas around. And from that variety of topics I discussed, I somehow felt, perhaps because I'm a strong supporter of innovations, that I would like to talk about a breakthrough of fintech, and specifically in a consumer business. It is changing the world of finance now, and it challenges traditional banks so hard. And this is happening right now. So that is why I decided to talk today about a rapidly growing competition between fintech companies and traditional banks that is going to reshape the industry. So what is happening? Traditional banks, they have clients and scales, but the emerging fintech companies, they have better innovations. And I think that it's just a matter of time when fintech companies get their scales and only increase competition to banks. So let's just be on the same side of what fintech is. It's a technology company that aims to compete with traditional ways of delivering financial services. And modern technology means that fintech companies actually can go global overnight and compete in the big league. So they just find inefficiencies and opportunities on markets and fill the gaps quickly and efficiently. And investments in fintech, they have been increasing exponentially over the last couple of years. According to Citi research, investments in fintech were around $2 billion in 2010, and they increased like 10 times, up to $20 billion in 2015. By estimations, around 70% of this investment they are spent on personal business or B2C. And why actually fintech companies, they target this business segment? It's very easy. They're very good in providing client experience solutions. And they are very good in removing pain points, not adding them. So a big challenge for banks. Second, I also realized that fintech companies, in the majority of cases, they use infrastructure of traditional banks very significantly, very intensively. They do this indirectly, however, they cannot operate remotely from banks. And what do I mean here? Let's just look at PayPal or Apple Pay. These are fintech companies that work in transactions business, and they work with wireless money, which they get into their ecosystems actually from banks. And banks before that do a lot of preparatory work like KYC, IML, compliance checks and all stuff like that. And fintech companies, they just remove this operational work from their business models and they only provide the final product, which banks were a bit slow to create. So banks in their infrastructure have almost everything except that final product with excellent client experience. And fintech companies, in contrast, they have almost nothing but that final product. So it looks like fintech companies, they just picking up a cherry from bank's pie, and looks like a good business strategy, doesn't it? And finally, what do banks do about fintech, and are they doing enough? Banks are not blind. It's good. They see this coming of fintech, and they invest in fintech companies a lot, and they try to integrate their solutions into their architecture, and this is good. According to Talent, a research firm, investments in IT infrastructure of global banks were around $200 billion in 2015, and that's a lot. That's like 10 times more than investments in fintech. However, there is a problem with these huge investments. Around 70% of them were spent on the maintenance of existing infrastructure and systems, which are significantly outdated comparing to what fintech is offering. So, due to these inefficiencies, maybe banks should consider to completely rebuild their IT infrastructure. I think they should. So, technology is coming, and I believe it's really up to banks how much technology element they add to their business models in order to stay competitive in long run. Because we've seen how digital disruption changed fundamentally a lot of industries like music sales, newspapers, taxi, traveling, and it's up to banks how they see the next chapter of banking life. That's all about the competition between fintech companies and traditional banks for today. And you know what? This evolving competition is just a small piece of what is happening in today's finances. And it's a real joy that the industry we all work in is driven by innovations and progress. So thank you for your attention. Thank you, CFA Society Ukraine, for organizing this great event. And also, thank you for the opportunity to do my first public speaking in my entire life. Thanks.